Hi there, my name is Richard McMunn, and in this training video I'm going to help you prepare for and pass the tough Royal Marines Commando interview. So if you're thinking of becoming a Royal Marines, then you're going to have a positive mindset, bags of enthusiasm, and above all determination to succeed. The Royal Marines are an elite force of the armed forces, and therefore they only take the best people. So you're going to have to put in loads of work, and during this video I'm going to help you prepare effectively for the Royal Marines Commando interview. And that's what we're going to focus on today, is making sure that you've got the right skills, qualities and attributes to pass the interview. And it's important to stress from the outset, if there's any key qualities and attributes you don't currently have, don't be dishonest during the interview. Go out and get them. So if you've not got any prior experience of working as part of a team, go out and join a team. Go out and join a rugby team, a football team, or whatever, and get some teamwork experience. Okay, that's really important. I'm going to give some sample responses to help you prepare for the Royal Marines interview. But again, you're going to need to do your own work and put together your own responses in preparation for the questions that will come your way. So the assessable criteria, before I get into some sample interview questions and answers, let's have a look at the different areas that you could be assessed against during the Royal Marines interview. And I'm going to go through each of these in detail. So first and foremost, your personal turnout. Remember, you're applying to join an elite force. Therefore, you have to demonstrate that you've got the potential. When you turn up the interview, how do you look? How do you dress? Are you smart? Are you in a suit with a shirt and a tie? Are your shoes clean? What about your personal administration, personal hygiene? All really important. So spend some time working on those. What about your emotional maturity and stability? Do you have a positive mindset? This is really important. So I recommend you don't go to the interview being negative. You've got to be positive, thinking, yeah, I am going to pass this. There's a difference between confidence and arrogance. We don't want arrogance, but we need to have a level of confidence that you have the potential to become a Royal Marines Commando. And that means having a positive mindset. So when things are going tough for you in life, which they do for everybody, how do you adapt to those situations? Do you wake up in the morning? Do you make your bed? Do you carry out loads of housework? Do you help out around at home? Are you a positive person and you get the most out of every day? So emotional maturity and stability, drive and determination to succeed. What's your drive like? Are you determined? These are really important attributes, having a drive and determination to succeed. If you fail at something, then you should view that as an opportunity to develop and improve. Learn from what goes wrong and then improve for next time. Are you physically robust? So what kind of physical activity do you currently undertake? Do you get up really early in the morning and go running? What's your Bleep test level like? You should be smashing the basic requirements for the Bleep test. If you've never done the Bleep test, go out and get a copy and start practicing it. Go and buy a tape measure from B&Q or somewhere and practice the 20-meter Bleep test until you are smashing those basic levels. Experience of being self-reliant. This is what you could be assessed against at the interview, being self-reliant. So, when have you gone away for long periods of time where you've had to look after yourself? Do you go camping or do you go away on expeditions, etc.? Okay, reactions to social discipline. So they could say to you, for example, in the interview, so what did you think of your teachers at school? Or when have you had to, react well to a disciplined environment? You don't need me to tell you that you're going to be up against it when you join the Royal Marines, and you're going to have to react positively to discipline. So if someone's shouting at you and telling you to do something, you have to have a positive reaction to that. Okay, and you can't take it personally, but you have to have a positive reaction to discipline. Experience of and reaction to regimentation and routine. So routine, like I say, you get up in the morning, you make your bed, you carry out some household chores, you already plan your day well in advance so you know what you're going to do, and that's all about routine. Knowledge and experience of Royal Marines. What I mean by that is finding out where the Royal Marines are right now in the world, where they're operating, the different branches of the Royal Marines, what they do, finding out as much as you can. Also about the history of the Royal Marines, you should be learning about that as well. Your motivation to join the Royal Marines, why do you want to join? You should be prepared for the question, well, why do you want to be a Royal Marines Commando? And you should have a really good response, and I'll help you when we come on to the interview the interview questions in a second. And also your personal circumstances. What are your personal circumstances? Are you in a situation where you can join the Royal Marines, and do you have the support of your family and also your partner if you have one? So those are the different areas: personal turnout, sociability, emotional maturity and stability, your drive and determination to succeed, physical robustness, experience of being self-reliant, reactions to social discipline, experience of and reaction to regimentation and routine, your knowledge of the Royal Marines, your motivation to succeed and join, and also your personal circumstances. So I just quickly also want to cover a number of different accessible areas, and that's with regards to the Commando State of Mind. Now, that will develop once you join and you go through your training and you become a competent and professional Royal Marines Commando. But the Commando State of Mind is about having courage, unity, determination to succeed, your adaptability, so you can change a flip of a coin, you can change a plan and go and do something different, and you're not sat there going, oh, do we have to do that? You have to be positive and have a great drive and determination. Your unselfishness as well, so you're not thinking about yourself, you're thinking about the Royal Marines unit, the Commando State of Mind, your teammates as well. Having humility when required, cheerfulness, always being positive, having professional standards. You've got to have really high professional standards, fortitude, and also commando humor. Those are the things that they will be looking at as well. So let's take a look at some sample interview questions and responses. Now, I've spent quite a lot of time working on these. I've got quite a few questions to go through. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. Please, if you do, give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel below as well, because then you'll get notified as soon as I create other Commando interview questions and answers. And if you're going for selection, please mention it in the comments section below. Say hello and let us know which part you're finding the toughest, because it's not easy joining the Royal Marines. Okay, first question. Why do you want to join the Royal Marines? Very basic question, but quite difficult to answer, because you're going to have to stand out from the crowd. Okay, you have to be elite in your preparation, and they will only take the best people, and rightly so too. So here's a sample response to help you prepare for the question, why do you want to join the Royal Marines? I've wanted to join the Royal Marines for a number of years now, and I feel that I have now reached a point in my life where I am ready to commit to the service. Having studied the Royal Marines recruitment literature and visited the Royal Marines website, I'm impressed by the professionalism and standards that the service sets itself. Now, I fully understand that the training is really going to be difficult and tough, and I've been working hard to prepare myself for that challenge. The Royal Marines have a fantastic history of achievement, and I want to be part of this elite service. I am determined, focused, and I'm driven, and I also rise to any challenge, and the Royal Marines is a career that I really, really want. The Royal Marines undertake any kind of military or security job under any kind of conditions anywhere in the world at a moment's notice, and I believe that I can bring something to the Royal Marines team. Yes, I know that I will have to work very hard to pass both the PRMC and the 30-week training course, but I'll make sure that I am fully prepared. So that's a positive response. It's an enthusiastic response. It also demonstrates that I know a little bit about the Royal Marines. I've looked into them a little bit. Now, what you have to be careful of is that if you say to the interview panel, I'm a determined and focused and driven person, they might say, well, give an example of that. Where have you already, during your life so far, been determined and focused and achieved things? So another interview question could be, can you give an example of when you've achieved a difficult task or project? So they want people with a history of achievement. And if you can prove that you've achieved things, then that will only work in your favour. Next question, next Royal Marines interview question. What does your family think of you wanting to join? Now, the reason they could ask you this question is because some people are pushed into this by their parents. Perhaps their father thinks, oh yeah, I want you to join the Royal Marines. This has to be your decision and your decision alone. It's really important that you have the support of your family and your partner, because you're going to be going through some tough times. And what you don't want to be doing is ringing at home during your training and saying, oh, I really, really want to come home. And then your parents are going, yeah, okay, it's probably not for you. You want to be determined. You're going to go through some really difficult times, and you need the support of your family and your partner. So here's my sample response to the interview question. What did your family think of you wanting to join the Royal Marines? I've discussed the issue with them in depth and also shown them all of the Royal Marines recruitment literature to try and dampen any fears that they may have. They were initially concerned about me joining, but they have given me their full support after I explained to them everything I know about the training and what I will go through, and also the conditions that I will serve as a Royal Marines. They are aware that the Royal Marines has a very difficult training course, but they fully support me, and they have been impressed by how much preparation I've been putting into this. They know how determined I am to succeed, and they are fully behind me. They've seen how enthusiastic I am about joining the Royal Marines, and they know that I will make a great member of the team if I am successful. I've also discussed the issue with my partner, and she is extremely supportive. They're looking forward to hopefully seeing me at my passing out parade if I'm successful, and therefore I have their full backing. Now, another thing here, if you do say in that kind of response that you've explained to people what the training is that you'll go through, that could lead into another interview question. So you mentioned about the training, you've told them you know about it, tell us what the training is. And also another question could be, so you've told us about the training that you'll go through, which parts do you think you'll find the toughest? And what have you been doing to prepare for those? So that's another question that you could well get asked during the Royal Marines interview. Okay, another one here. Next interview question. How do you think you'll cope with the Royal Marines way of life in relation to discipline and being part of a military organisation? So when you join that kind of organisation, things are going to be entirely different to what you've been used to. It's only natural, it will be different, but you have to think about this and you have to prepare for it. So if you have any other kind of prior experience of working as part of a team or in organisations where there's military regimentation or discipline, then that's brilliant. That's really, really important. So here's my answer to the question. How do you think you'll cope with the Royal Marines way of life in relation to being part of a military organisation and the discipline? Having read the information available to me about the Royal Marines, I think I'd cope very well. I know that I'm going to find it really difficult and tough at times, but I believe I have both the maturity and stability to succeed and become a competent member of the Royal Marines team. I have a level head and I have the ability to rise to any challenge, so I feel that I would not have a problem with the discipline. I've always respected authority, both in society, at work, and also when I was in education. Discipline is really important. I understand that, and without it, the service would not function effectively. The very nature of the commando's role means that the service requires a disciplined workforce. Without that discipline, things can go wrong. If I am successful and do not carry out my duties professionally, then I could endanger someone else's life and put the team in danger and also the mission. I understand why discipline is required, and I believe I would cope well with it. I understand that being in the Royal Marines isn't a 9-to-5 job, but instead you're required to take on tasks whenever required, be flexible and adaptable too. So that's my sample response to this. By the way, if you're struggling to keep up with this or take notes, don't worry. I'm going to tell you where you can get a copy of these once we get to the end of this tutorial. So stick with me. Next question. How do you think you'll cope with being away from home and losing your personal freedom? A real basic question. Obviously, you're not going to sit there and go, well, I'm not too sure really. I might struggle a little bit. That's no good. Anyone can say, though, yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with this, but if you can back it up with evidence of where you've already been away for a long period of time, being on expeditions, being part of a voluntary group or something like that, then that's going to help you. Okay, here's my response to that. How do you think you're going to cope with being away from home and losing your personal freedom when you join the Royal Marines? Don't forget, it's a long, tough, intensive training course. Having had experience of being away from home, I believe I would cope extremely well. When I was younger, I was a member of the Scouts and I often went away for expeditions at weekends. Even now, I'm always looking for any excuse to get away from home. I love the outdoors and I often visit the Lake District where I go camping, running and hill climbing. Being away from home has never bothered me, and this would certainly not be an issue for me. In fact, I'm really looking forward to leaving home. That's a short and to the point response I mentioned there about, going away to the Lake District. I personally love the Lake District. I like going hill climbing. But be prepared that if you say something like that, they'll go, oh, tell us about the Lake District. Where'd you go? So you'd have to say, well, yeah, I'll go climbing, go up Hell Valley, and I've stayed out there a couple of nights before on my own to find out what it's like sleeping out. So have some, something to back it up that you're already doing that kind of thing. Okay, next question. Are you involved in any sporting activities, and how do you keep yourself fit? And this is also about teamwork, working with other people as part of a team. Again, really important if you're going to be a Royal Marines Commando. So here's my answer to help you for, are you involved in any sporting activities? Yes, I am. I currently play in the local rugby team and have been doing that for a number of years now. Maintaining a good level of fitness is something I enjoy. In fact, recently I've increased my fitness levels by also going swimming 3 times a week in the evenings. I'm aware that during the recruitment training course, I'll be pushed to my absolute limits, so I'll need to be prepared for that. I believe the fact that I play team sports will also help me get through my training. I also work out at the gym doing plenty of weight work. In the mornings before I go to work, I get up at 6 o'clock and I go running 5 miles. This sets me up for the day and also keeps my fitness levels at a good standard. I understand that during the 30-week Royal Marines training course, I'll be pushed to my limits, so I have been preparing for this for the last 4 months. So the key point is I'm demonstrating that I'm doing lots of fitness. I have some routine because I'm getting up in the morning, I'm going running, I'm then going to work, I'm coming back, I'm doing some training. I'm also swimming because obviously being a competent swimmer is important to being a Royal Marines Commando, a competent Royal Marines Commando. And I've been doing this for the last 4 months. Now, of course, hopefully you'll have been doing fitness for a long period of time. I'm not as fit as I used to be, but I used to do a ton of fitness, and I could get to, when I was in my 20s, I could get to level 14 on the Bleep test with no problem at all. I could swim a mile in 25 minutes. Like I say, I can't do that now, but when I was younger, that's what I could do, and I had that focus for that. So if you've got those kind of things that you're already doing now in your life, then fantastic, because it will really help you. Because what they don't want to be doing, of course, your fitness is going to improve as you go along through your Royal Marines training. However, what they don't want to be doing is getting you up to a reasonable standard before you join. You've got to do that yourself, because that then demonstrates that you are taking personal responsibility, and also it comes back to experience of being self-reliant, which is really, really important. Okay, let's take a look at another question. Bear with me 1 second. I want to get to my page. Okay, next one. This one, a little bit more about that. How do you keep yourself fit, and why do you think fitness is important to the Royal Marines? Yes, I keep myself fit and active, and it's an important part of my life. I go swimming 5 times a week, swim 50 lengths every time I go. I also go running 4 times a week to break up the routine, and I mix in some weight work at the gym on a regular basis. I play football for my local Sunday team, which involves 1 practice session every fortnight. Plus, I ensure that I eat a proper diet, which helps keep me feeling confident and healthy. Yes, I think that fitness is vital to the role of someone serving in the Royal Marines. The role involves ensuring that you have a healthy and confident state of mind, and by keeping fit, you're able to operate at peak performance. Coupled with the fact that the work is physically demanding, it's important that Royal Marines stay healthy, fit, so that they can perform to their peak and cope with the demands of the job. Okay, really, really important. Again, what I'm doing is giving you another example there of fitness, but I'm also explaining why it's important to the role of a Royal Marines Commando. Next one. Okay, team working is obviously crucial to the role of the Royal Marines. So you could get a question which is, tell me about a time when you've already contributed to the effective working of a team. Now, just before I give you a sample response, what I want to do is give you some focus areas to prepare for during the Royal Marines interview in your preparation. So these are basically giving examples of where you've already done it. So that question is, can you give an example of when you've worked as part of a team? So these focus areas here are teamwork, resilience, planning and organising something, and that might be planning and organising a charity event or a weekend expedition. Problem solving. Can you give an example of when you've solved a difficult problem and you've had to learn, adapt and overcome? Learning and developing something new, because obviously when you go and join the Royal Marines, you're going to have to learn tons about them and all your equipment and your regiment, etc. Give an example of when you've had to be disciplined, and also when you've had to communicate difficult messages to people, because communication in the Royal Marines is vital, really important. So if someone says, oh, can you go and tell this person this, and then you don't listen to the communicative brief properly and you pass it on and it's wrong, then that can totally throw out the mission. So you've got to be a good communicator as well, both in writing and orally as well. So the question is, tell me about a time when you've contributed to the effective working of a team. Here's my sample response. I like to keep fit and healthy, and as part of this, I play football for a local Sunday team. We had worked really hard to get to the cup final, and we were faced with playing a really good opposition team who had recently won the league. The team consisted of 11 players who regularly spend time together during training sessions and at social events. After only 10 minutes of play, one of our players was sent off and we conceded a penalty as a result. Being 1 goal down and 80 minutes left to play, we were faced with a mountain to climb. However, we all remembered our training, had a positive mindset, and worked very hard in order to prevent any more goals being scored. Due to playing with 10 players, I had to switch positions and play as a defender, something that I was not used to and I've not done before, but I did it with positivity, and I made a really good contribution to the team. Apart from being a defender, I felt my role was to encourage the other players to keep going and not give up until the final whistle has sounded. All the other players supported each other tremendously, and the support of the crowd really pushed us on. The team worked brilliantly to hold off any further opposing goals, and after 60 minutes we managed to get an equaliser. The game went to penalties, and in the end we managed to win the cup. I believe I am an excellent team player and can always be relied upon to work as an effective team member at all times. I understand that being an effective team member is crucial to being a competent Royal Marines Commando, and I have to continually perform to a very high standard. Above all of this, effective teamwork is essential in order to maintain the high safety standards that are set by the Royal Marines. So that's another sample question. I've got tons more I want to give you. Now, if you would like more of these questions, click the link below the video and you can get a copy of this manual. It's a great manual on how to become a Royal Marines Commando. It covers the entire selection process and also covers a comprehensive section on the interview with tons of sample responses as well. Just click the link below this video now. If you've got to go through the tests yet, I also have this mammoth Armed Forces testing book. Again, the link is below the video. Guys, I genuinely want you to pass your interview, but like I say, you're going to have to put in tons of work. Make sure you work hard, prepare fully. And if you have any questions, please pop them in the comments section below. Like I said, I'd really appreciate it if you gave the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I wish you all the very best in your pursuit to becoming a Royal Marines Commando.